que admitir prerrogativas o inmunidades para un sistema jurídico determinado que se pudiese sustraer a la general de esta extensión de derecho internacional sería prácticamente el renegar de lo que venimos sosteniendo hace más de 120 años. Esta es una posición que además comparten todos los sectores políticos de mi país, que además es expresión de una traducción de la cual ha definido la comunidad nacional, desde el momento en que se involucró en el mundo internacional. Yo quería puntualizar cuál es nuestra visión y agradecer nuevamente la presencia del distinguidísimo presidente de la Corte Penal Internacional, el doctor Gies. Muchas gracias.
Otra pregunta, quizás el embajador Royo de Panamá, por favor.
Quisiera preguntarle al señor Kirsch, ¿cómo han resuelto ustedes, si lo tienen planteado, el juicio con ausencia del reo? Que hay algunos estados en los cuales esto es permitido y hay otros estados que no permiten hacer un juicio con ausencia del reo. Y en segundo lugar, en el caso de que se necesite la ausencia del reo, de que su respuesta sea positiva, ¿qué pasa en los casos en los cuales un reo se refugia en algún estado que no concede la extradición, bien sea porque no es firmante o no es miembro de la Corte Internacional de Justicia, bien sea porque es nacional del estado y la constitución de ese estado indica que no se puede extraditar a los nacionales?
The accused has to be present in all cases during a trial. There are no exceptions to this. There is an elaborate system of extradition provisions where normally states should give priority to the ICC if there are competing extraditions between other states and the ICC, but there are also qualifications based on pre-existing international obligations, for example. Clearly, what you are saying is another reason why it is so important that the ICC system reach as soon as possible quasi-universality. The ICC will only be able to fulfill its role completely when it reaches such a level of ratification that the current limitations based on the territory of the state or the territory of the commission of the crime or the nationality of the accused become less important, less relevant because more states have ratified. But on your last point about constitutions, of course, many states have had constitutional issues that initially they considered problems in ratifying the ICC. But I would suggest that many states have found ways of overcoming those constitutional obstacles, either by changing their constitutions or by interpreting those constitutions in a way that accommodates their relationship with the ICC. To take an example, extradition to another state and surrender of a person to the ICC are not the same thing. Extradition of a state of an individual to another state may be prohibited, but surrender to the ICC may be acceptable even without changing the constitution. And that's only one example of many where it is possible to accommodate such concerns.
Thank you. We have had a diplomatic historian, if I may so characterize, the ambassador of Uruguay, and a diplomatic lawyer, if I may so characterize, the ambassador of Panama, ask questions. I was wondering if there were, as we head toward the end of this first formal part of the program, any questioners from the press. I see at the same time, and we might gather a few questions, I see the alternate representative of Venezuela. You have the floor, Madam Medina.
Gracias, secretario general. En principio quisiera darle la bienvenida al presidente de la Corte Penal Internacional para nuestra organización y para mi gobierno, el gobierno de la República Bolivariana de Venezuela. Es un honor tenerlo acá. Venezuela fue el primer país hispanoparlante en ratificar el Estatuto de Roma. Señor presidente, quisiera hacer una pregunta muy sucinta. Teniendo en consideración la coyuntura de poder mundial que existe actualmente y tomando como referente el convenio de Viena de derecho de los tratados, la Convención de Viena sobre el derecho de los tratados, que establece normas que señala que aquellos tratados, aquellos acuerdos que son suscritos entre los estados, cuando son efectuados por presión, no tienen validez. Sabemos que hay iniciativas unilaterales para impedir que el Estatuto de Roma tenga alguna efectividad. La pregunta es la siguiente: ¿qué sucedería cuando, habiéndose suscrito un convenio entre dos estados en el marco que acabo de hacer referencia, se le presenta a la Corte Penal Internacional una denuncia sobre uno de los derechos que la Corte puede proteger? ¿Cuál sería, si pudiera darnos su opinión, cuál sería la posición de la Corte en ese sentido? Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much. As you will understand, I am not in a position to give you my opinion on a subject like that, because this will then be a matter of judicial process. And since I'm ex officio a judge on the appeals chamber, I could not possibly say something that might prejudice my position in that process. And incidentally, Mr. Chairman, if I may, before you give the floor to our colleagues from the press, I should say that I'm always happy to receive questions, but I do not comment on specific situations. I do not comment on the policies of states. I do not speculate on what the court might do if this or that, and I do not infringe on the prosecutor's territory. If you are still interested, I will be happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much. Do we in fact have press questions, or we have a large group of I gather, legal professionals and students of law, or I will happily return to any member of the Permanent Council who wishes to take the floor. Thank you. You have the floor.
I wanted to ask a question. Earlier you were explaining what role states can take in supporting the ICC, and you mentioned protection of victims and witnesses. I was wondering to what extent, I'm thinking specifically of Democratic Republic of the Congo, where investigations are currently underway and where victims and witnesses and researchers from local NGOs are obviously providing information to the prosecutor. I was wondering to what extent the Office of the Prosecutor or the Court is actually developing a policy to protect victims and witnesses, and to what extent it's being implemented at this time.
Protection of victims and witnesses is an integral part of the statute and the obligations of the court, as well as in the rules of procedure and evidence. There have been various missions sent both by the prosecutor to the territories that they are investigating, and also by the registry. And clearly, the protection of victims and witnesses is an absolutely central part of the program of the court in a variety of different ways. It is very much being implemented.
Shall I stand or? Yeah. Yes. I wanted to ask about
apprehension of those indicted by the court. You've heard the ad hoc courts, for instance, in The Hague, and I worked with the Bosnia Support Committee, and Kardish and Mladic, who were the henchmen of Milosevic,